Welcome if you are watching the replay of this video. Sorry, I'm getting everything set up. Go ahead and skip ahead to the 5-minute mark, and that's when the actual stream will begin. Everything right now is going to be just me getting everything set up, testing audio. I don't want to waste your time, so you can feel free to go ahead and skip ahead to that 5-minute mark. Otherwise, you can hang out with me and see what happens behind the scenes as I prep for the stream, but not really going to be much to see here. So in the meantime, I'll go ahead and pull up the chart for you to look at while I'm getting everything set up. I'm going to be going live in about 1 to 2 minutes, just giving the stream time to buffer in. Then I'll give people a couple minutes to get into the chat and we'll get things rolling. But we do have a lot of information to cover, lots of ETF information and inflows, as well as a couple other things that popped up that I think we need to cover. So I'll see you in about 2 minutes. All right, I am back and I am going to take this stream live here in just a second. I'm pulling it up right now. All right, we are going to take the stream live and we'll give everyone a couple minutes to get in. We're going live in 3, 2, 1. Boom, and we are live. So we're going to give it a couple minutes for people to hop in here, and then we will get right into all of the information. We have a lot to cover. So again, as people are joining in, I'm going to give it a couple minutes here, and we will see who we get, because we do have a ton of ETF information and a couple other things I spotted that are very, very relevant. I actually think things might fall into place sooner than we think. Everything sounds good, William? Perfect. I've been working on making everything as crisp and clean as I can for you all, trying to improve the stream quality. So welcome, William. Good to see you again this morning. As always, I'm giving it a couple minutes to get some people into the stream, and then we will get underway. George is here. That's right. We're back, baby. We held 220 overnight like we were talking about yesterday. I did 2 streams yesterday. Got a burst of energy to come on when we were surging, 20 cents in a day. So 10% increase yesterday was great. But yeah, I do believe we are back, and I actually did a little bit more research, and I think this supply crunch might be a little closer than I originally thought. Not financial advice, but I did want to share it with you all. So William, could you tell me how many people are in the chat, please? And I'm going to get started here in a minute. I'm just giving people a couple minutes to get in, and we will get underway. But I've got everything pulled up and ready to go. I've got a lot of stuff to throw at you guys as far as numbers, and a couple different new angles to look at that we may not have considered before. So again, just giving it 1 more minute to get everyone in here. We already got 15 in here. All right, the stream should be buffered in. Audio quality should be good. I'm going to go ahead and get started. All right, so as always, if this is your first time here, kick back, relax. I'm going to ask nothing of you, but if it's your second video, make sure you're subscribed, hit the like button, and chat. Use the chat. The chat is key, because the way I do my streams every single day is I'm going to come on here. I'm going to give you some chart analysis to kind of set up the day of where we are. and we're going to go over all the news. And then once I get through everything, I address everything in the chat, and we will continue to go as the stream goes. And the more active you are in the chat, the more the stream will grow, the more people we get in, the more people we get chatting, the more questions we can get answered, and it's great for everyone. So if you are getting some value from the stream, hit the like button, engage in the chat, and I am going to hop into the information. So yesterday, we had 2 more ETFs go live, and I started crunching some numbers. But before I get into the numbers, because I did a short yesterday and it was very, very eye-opening once I actually crunched some numbers and put it into perspective for people. So first off, let's go ahead and start with the chart and see where we are. Good to see you this morning, Janine, William, George. I appreciate you all. Keep the chat active. It was funny. And it's great that we're pulling this up in the chart, and I have Janine present in the chat this morning because we actually drew this out yesterday, and it was fun how it played out exactly as we said. And we were talking in the live stream. But hang on, I'll move it to the 5-minute chart because that's what we were looking at. There it is. So, come on, there it goes. So me and Janine were mapping out this day trade scalp play and how it would work. I wasn't actually day trading. And we were talking about a new floor, and it was going to chop probably between 222 to 224 area for a while, and we drew this wedge. And I explained what I would do in this situation based on what it had been doing. If I were day trading, I would set up my stop loss here, and we would have bought here, and it poof shot through the wedge. It was great. But really, more importantly, if we were looking at it from a broader long view perspective, which is what we are doing here, we want to scroll out and see where we are right now. Again, here it is. This is the 5-minute chart. We came down and tested 218 last night. Okay, so we did fall below the 220 floor and we came up. Again, the 220 floor is what is going to be important for us to hold. This is going to create the next step. Okay, so right now as it sits, it looks like it came down and touched 220 this morning and bounced off. This is good. This is what we want to see. We want it to stay above the blue line. It's trying to flip that right now. If we flip this blue line with a little bit of momentum, we're going to continue the positive uptrend. That's basic chart analysis. But again, this is all for context. We are here for the long view of this asset. Excuse me. Don't want to cough in the mic. We are here for the long view of this asset. So that being said, I want to pull up a couple other charts. One my wonderful subscribers pointed out to me yesterday, and we did pull it up in the stream yesterday. This is tracking every single XRP ETF that is live. You can scroll down and you can see every single one. If you were not in the stream yesterday, I want to present this to you. Thank you, Janine. She is the one who gave me the link to this information. But you can follow every single XRP ETF. This is xpmarket.com. You go over to the side over here and you click ETF tracker. But this is the thing I wanted to point out to everyone. You can see the massive inflows. That's very, very clear. This is both the spot and leveraged ETFs. So, margin, right? That being said, if we scroll up, I want to show something very important. 112 million in spot volume versus 74 million in leverage volume. Why is this important? I didn't spot this yesterday. But this has not been the case because we have not had the spot ETFs available. The only option was leverage. But as soon as these spot ETFs are becoming available, which they have over the last few weeks, we have 5 total spot ETFs live right now, and we're going to cover that as well. But as these have become available, you can see the very, very clear desire for spot products. They are wanting to hold the asset over these leverage products. And that is clear as day. If that continues, that just means more supply is going to be removed. Period. End story. That's what I wanted to pull up with that, because it's very, very clear what's about to happen in my mind. And I want to outline that for you as basic as possible so you can come to your own conclusions. That being said, I'm going to hop into the next thing. We're going to track the ETF inflows. All right, so I'm going to track the ETF inflows here. I pulled up Franklin Templeton. Currently, Total assets on their first day, they pulled 2.45 million XRP off of supply as of yesterday. First day, they removed 2.5 million XRP. Doesn't seem like a lot. Again, give it a little bit of time. This was probably what was sitting in their bag before the day started. They just updated it. So we're going to check these flows every single day. It says right here that it is updated daily. Oh, you guys can't see it. There we go. 2.45 million assets under management for this ETF as of yesterday. So this will get updated tomorrow for today, and we'll track it as it goes. So 2.5 million from Franklin Templeton yesterday, removed from supply. Grayscale, 6 million yesterday, removed from supply. Canary Capital so far, and their total has removed 150 million XRP from supply. Bitwise is now up to 67 million. This was 59 million yesterday when we checked it. Okay. Rex Osprey now is up to 110 million XRP in supply. When you go through these spot ETFs and you take how long they've been active versus what they've actually pulled in and divide it by the trading days. Okay, this is why I'm bringing this up here. And you divide it by the trading days. These are averaging each, mind you, 10 to 15 million XRP per day being removed from supply since they have launched. Okay, the only historical data we have to compare this to is Bitcoin. And Bitcoin has been continuing to run their ETF inflows for about, 18 straight months of consistent inflows. They just got some outflows during this last crash. Okay. So if that is our signal, or that is our historical marker of what to expect, we can expect this to consistently continue for at least a year, right? So if we're pulling 15 million XRP each, and we have 2 more still slated to go live, all right? Just keep that in mind. We still have 21 shares. 3 slated to go live, right? CoinShares hasn't gone live yet either. We still have 21 shares, CoinShares, and Wisdom Tree left to launch, okay? If each one of these are pulling an average of 15 million XRP each, that is over 100 million XRP per day, okay? If you extrapolate that out, that's 500 million XRP every 2 weeks being pulled from supply. We can follow these numbers. We've been following these numbers, okay? That is real. So it's really going to come down to how much XRP is truly available out there. And we're going to get that answer a lot sooner than we think if this continues. Because remember, a lot of this was during a crash and during a down market. We're just now getting renewed talks about rate cuts in December, and the market is beginning to pump again. As these inflows, because right now we're still following Bitcoin. We've talked about that ad nauseum, okay? So as these inflows come in, this is what could potentially separate us from Bitcoin, okay? And if you are new to the stream and you haven't followed it, I will pull up the chart. Oh no, as we've been talking, we have a sell-off. Oh no. So we have, in the time I was just talking to you guys, we have fallen from 220 all the way to 219 very, very quickly. We need to make sure this holds. We need to make sure we do not get into a new discovery in this oversold area. It looks like it is fighting back right now. So this is actually really, I mean, it's not good to see the price drop, but I do kind of want to see how this is going to play out. We have real selling pressure right here amidst this climb. I mean, you know, we had a 10% raise yesterday, okay? So it would be very, you're going to see a sell-off. I mean, you have that kind of raise, people are going to take profits, the bigger people, right? The people messing around with leverage and all that stuff. I still think this is a play. I didn't see anything in the, macroeconomic announcements this morning. As far as when I was going through it. So I actually think this is a healthy pullback and a test. I want to see us reclaim 220. But that being said, we were talking about the rate cuts. We were talking about the actual amount of supply being removed. It really is going to come down to what is available out there. But I mean, we can see facts, figures, numbers showing 100 to 130 million XRP per day, per trading day is effectively going to be removed once all these ETFs are live, and they will be live. So I mean, that number is pretty astounding to me. But that being said, we're going to move on to the next phase of this, okay? And I don't have the full article. I'm sorry. It just popped up. But I'm going to show you this headline from Bloomberg Live. Yen to strengthen 10% in coming months as U.S. rate cuts, Morgan Stanley says. Okay, so Morgan Stanley says the yen is about to strengthen 10% when we cut rates in December. They're hiking rates. What does this mean, everybody? We have talked about this ad nauseum, but if that isn't a signal of the reverse carry trade, I don't know what is. This is exactly the definition of what we are talking about, as well as we saw tightening in the repo markets and liquidity crisis and liquidity stress ever since Japan said they were going to hike their rates in December. They said it at the very end of October 30th. Right then is when the market started getting super painful, the entire market, not just crypto. So this is a very, very real threat. I mean, you have Bloomberg and Morgan Stanley telling you, not just Joe Blow YouTube guy. So, I mean, they're not packaging it the same way. But if the yen strengthens 10% while we cut, and that means our dollar's weakening, right? When we cut rates, that's called a reverse carry trade. It's happening. How bad it unfolds, we don't know. So, again, we have talked ad nauseum about Bitcoin and XRP decoupling. We have also said that in order for that to happen, there will be immense amounts of pain. But I did also say I am going to show this chart every single stream just to emphasize and let people know where I stand when it comes to Bitcoin. So I do hold Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is also dropping too. So we're going to pull this up here. So again, XRP following Bitcoin, whatever this drop is, it's overall macro sentiment. So I'm guessing it's relieving pressure from the massive increases we had yesterday. And hopefully we see some support and it bounces up, but we will follow it. But it's the overall market, nothing that is XRP specific. Again, we are tracking the inflows of the ETFs, and we went through that, and we can cover that again here in a little bit. But I'm going to give you my Bitcoin all-time chart here. I love this chart. Again, so we have talked ad nauseum. I have talked ad nauseum about Bitcoin and the volume bubble, my theory of a volume bubble. So here is the volume track of Bitcoin since its inception. Over here, you can see massive amounts of volume. But if we come over here to the middle, you can see a steady decline. We haven't seen any real volume in Bitcoin since February of 22. Okay, and then we had this entire run up on nothing but hollow volume. This is what scares me about Bitcoin, because that is the definition of a bubble. Lots of price with no volume. That means there's a lot of air pockets in here that can, okay, that literally the definition of a bubble in my mind. We are bouncing back today, but if we are ever to see a decoupling, we will. But when we do see a decoupling from Bitcoin, I think this is going to be a major factor. My opinion, not financial advice. As always, everything in these streams and videos is for entertainment and educational purposes only. I am not a financial advisor yet. Still working on my Series 65 so I can get my license, and I will let you know when that happens. But that being said, we have covered all the inflows. I showed you the shocking number of what actually might be happening with the supply crunch. Really, it's going to come down to a matter of what is actually truly available in supply. Everyone has their theories. We have asked multiple different AIs. We have done multiple different research. It comes out to be a general consensus of 4 to 5% of the total available supply, or the total circulating supply, is what's actually available. All right. So roughly 3 to 6 billion XRP is supposedly available according to all the different sources we have researched and checked. And if we're losing 100 to 130 million XRP a day to ETFs, That's a pretty blatant picture to watch. That being said, I have covered all of the information. I'm going to hop into the chat right now, and we will continue working on this stream. If someone could give me an update of how many people are in the stream, I'd really appreciate it. But I'm going to start answering the questions. If you are just now joining the stream, I go through all of the information, and then I hop into the chat, and I start going through all the questions and things in the chat. And we will keep the chat going. I will come back and recap, and then from there, we'll see how the stream's going, and we'll continue if everyone still wants to talk, and otherwise we'll call it. But we still have about 10 to 15 minutes at least left in the stream as I go through these comments, and then I will give you a recap, okay? So let's take a look here. Janine, yes. We got William, we got Janine, we got George, and let's see here. I wish I had 110. William says, I wish I had 110 million XRP. Don't we all? Janine says that would be nice. Janine, I was telling my mom that her 500 seems small, but in perspective to how many people actually own it, it's a lot. You're absolutely right, Janine. And I've pointed this out before, but for anyone new, just to give you guys an idea of something, okay? 75% of our country has zero exposure to cryptocurrency. Okay, so that means only 25% of our country has any exposure to cryptocurrency. I'm in the US, so I can't speak for any other countries. I know there's other people here. But that being said, of that 25% that does have exposure, 90% of it is in Bitcoin. Okay, so really 99% of our country, 99% of the US has zero exposure to anything other than Bitcoin. So 500 in the grand scheme of things is a lot if you factor in how many people in our country have zero knowledge of anything. Really, and that's how I look at it. So, and that's why I tell people, just, you know, if you want to invest, do your own research. Again, educational purposes, not financial advice. But if you want to invest, do your own research, buy what you can, when you can, over time, build your bag, dollar cost average. You know, everyone wants to get rich fast, okay? More people get broke than trying to get rich fast than people actually succeed, okay? Your odds of getting rich are much better if you do it slow, okay? Find some things you like, invest slowly, be smart, dollar cost average. It works. It works for a reason. There's books and books and books and books on this exact method for a reason. And hopefully I can bring back the old school ways for y'all instead of the meme coin pump and dumps, right? Let's see here. I'm just at work at the moment. I'll be active as I can. Appreciate you, George. I understand. I mean, hey, don't get in trouble at work. And Janine, you too. Janine's working also. Let's see here. Let's see. Good morning, all. Good morning. Good morning, Steven. 500 is a nice chunk to hold. I agree. I mean, for the average person, I mean, what, I mean, that's $1,000 with the XRP. I mean, $1,000 investment into what a lot of people consider to be a speculative asset, because to the vast public, it still is, and to many analysts, it still is. I do not believe it is. I think we were out of the speculative phase when they started making billion-dollar acquisitions, but that's just me. Let's take a look here. William, where do you think XRP will go in the long run? 100 XRP is nice. Any XRP is nice. When you think and where XRP will go in the long run? I have always said that the very exciting thing about XRP and the very exciting thing about these technologies and about these cryptocurrencies is we don't know. They are not traditional assets. They're not traditional securities. They act as something completely differently. So when you're talking about XRP, for instance, as an asset, as a bridge currency, and what it's going to be used for and its utility, like, I mean, mathematically, the functionality of it, I mean, it has a unlimited potential of what the price could be on it. I mean, so, and it really comes down to the value that it's transferring. So really, if you're looking at the mathematics and the actual way XRP is designed to work, its value is going to be indicative of the value it's transferring. So really, the more utility and the more value that is on the XRP ledger for them to utilize XRP, theoretically, the higher the price should go. So that being said, there is no limit to how high XRP can go or when it could go. It's a matter of how quickly they adopt and use the XRP ledger. That's why we get super excited when we're talking about tokenizing trillions of dollars of assets over the next 5 years. Okay, we haven't talked about tokenization in a while, but again, it's bringing value to the XRP ledger. The more liquidity, the more value, the more tokenization that happens on the XRP ledger for them to utilize XRP as a bridge asset, the higher it's going to go. So my long-winded answer to your wind moon question, I don't know, but I'm very excited about how high it could potentially go. That's why I'm in the investment, because even if it only does a standard growth rate, and starts getting, $4, $6, $8, those are still 300, 400, 500% return on your investment, which is higher than you're going to get anywhere else in the stock market. But when you couple that in with everything else, I mean, shoot for the stars, and the worst thing we do is 5x our money. Again, my opinion, not financial advice. That's how I'm looking at it as a long-term investment, me personally. Let's see here. Morris 365 says, I honestly believe they will start playing it like stocks, meaning 9:15 buys and sells. I don't know how much they have, but once they get a bunch, it don't start in stocks at 9:15. Keep up. Awesome. The first manipulation candle, I always look at that first manipulation candle. I never trust what the first 15 minutes of the stock market does, because it always seems to go the other way. Janine says exactly. William says, I have a 3-month-old girl, so unfortunately I can't spend as much as I would like on XRP, but I did buy some for my daughter. We'll give it to her when she turns 18 or 21, something like that. That's really cool, William. I completely get it. Believe it or not, I'm tapped out now as well, and I can't buy anything else. I made my last buy. So right now I am tapped. I haven't been working the last 6 months because I'm out on disability now, as a lot of you know. So I would love for XRP to take off soon. I'm starting to get a little tight myself. And then let's see here. Steven says, other than being the first crypto, what purpose does Bitcoin serve? Invest in XRP and HBAR because they serve a purpose. Am I missing something with Bitcoin? I don't think so, Steven. The only thing, and again, not financial advice, but my thing on Bitcoin, and full disclosure, I own some Bitcoin. But my thing on Bitcoin is exactly what you're saying. It has no utility, and I have been saying that I do believe there will be a transition when people roll out of Bitcoin into the utility tokens for that exact thing. But there is so much big money involved in Bitcoin. I also think they're not going to let it fail completely. So we'll probably, in my opinion, see a sudden like spike, probably a sudden spike down at some point. I don't know when, I'm not giving a timeline, but we'll probably see a sudden spike down at some point with Bitcoin, and then it'll have a bounce back as all the big wigs, and Bitcoin's fine, which might be happening right now. MicroStrategy has been all over the mic. But anyway, we're not going to really see that until mid-January if they reclassify the treasury companies as funds, which will destroy Bitcoin. Again, timeline that I'm putting out there, real events that could potentially happen. And if that happens, the rest of the crypto market will go with it. Hopefully we get clarity at that point, and that would open an opportunity for people to flow out of Bitcoin into the utility tokens. And I do think because of how much money is in Bitcoin, they will find a way to stop it, and it's just going to be a slow bleed. But you have seen a lot of funnels out of the Bitcoin ETFs the last couple of days. You've seen a lot of funnels out of the big wallets on Bitcoin here in the last few months. And then you can see it on the chart. I'm sitting here looking at the chart as I'm talking to you guys, but you can see it on the Bitcoin chart. Here, I can pull it up for you. There we go. You can see on the Bitcoin chart, this is what the rest of crypto looks like. We're still following this. So where is this money going? This money is going to XRP ETFs. We can see a lot of that. I think that January 15th decision, when it comes down to if they're going to reclassify it as a treasury, or if they're going to be able to still maintain the treasuries, or if they're going to have to reclassify as funds, clarity is going to be key. So I mean, all of the sorry, I got distracted in the chat. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. But clarity is key, and I do think we are opening up into a potential roll into a decoupling from Bitcoin. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. My stroke brain got the better of me. 22 people in here right now. Why is XRP crashing right now? I was literally just talking about that. We are following Bitcoin. Bitcoin's having a pullback right now. It's just normal market noise. We went up 10% yesterday. We're naturally going to see a little bit of a pullback at some point. It doesn't just go straight up. Just blows my mind to think about how small of a population is going to profit off of it. You're absolutely right, Janine. Not a lot of people know about it. 2050, Grandpa, you bought XRP at $2? Yeah, William, we'll get to tell some of those stories 20 years down the road. It's pretty exciting to think about. And if it does what we think it's going to do, then, you know, our families will be very well taken care of for a lot of us. And that's why we're here. I've dollar cost average the last 4 years, holds 7,400 coin. Good for you. Good for you. Let's see here. DH12 said that. I will never publicly disclose my holdings. Just FYI. I will tell you what I hold, but I won't tell you how much. And that's for my own protection. You don't want to make yourself a target, people. It's better for people not to know what you have and where you have it. I don't want to tell, oh yeah, by the way, I got $2 million buried somewhere, or, whatever the price might be. Let's see here. 50% XRP, 50% gold. Spot would be sick. Keep up the good work, dude. Appreciate you, I am Sam. Epstein files may have part of the play, maybe not. I mean, again, to tell you the truth, Marty said that I am Sam said that Epstein files might have a part to play in this. They may, but that's going to have a part to play in the entire stock market, macroeconomic pressure. And again, with the way our administration is right now, I mean, Trump can come out and sneeze tomorrow and the stocks could fall 15%. We don't actually know. It's one of the most volatile markets we've seen in years. Let's take a look here. Marty, the amount of Bitcoin lost is insane. It was too early for people to really keep track of it. I agree. Funny / sad story. I was really, really into gaming back in 2010, 2011. I actually started a YouTube channel back then and did a gaming YouTube channel. But that being said, I had a very strong gaming computer. I was very into it. I went on and actually became a store manager for a gaming retail company. I'll leave it at that for several years as well when I got out of the military. But all that being said, I was going somewhere with that. I was building gaming computers, and I heard one of my friends in the Air Force told me about Bitcoin. I was like, huh. And I went and looked into it, and I was like, I wonder if I could mine this with my computer. And I set up a computer and actually mined a little bit of Bitcoin. And honestly, the computer's probably in the trash somewhere. Like, it's probably sitting in the landfill from forever ago. And honestly, I don't even know how much Bitcoin is on it. I know it was at least 100. And yeah, I literally threw away over 100 Bitcoin at one point in my life. Sad day. Let's see here. The amount of Bitcoin lost is insane. Yep, I lost some myself. ATBC stock. I went all in at 22 cents. That's a great buy, Crypto Roger. XRP 22 cents. Congratulations on that. Lisa Cotton Kenny, I'm confused about the price of XRP on the stock market versus XRP in crypto. The price difference would indicate how much we should expect when XRP starts pumping. No. So the price of XRP in the stock market, as far as like when you look at ETFs and things like that, here, I'll pull this up for you. When you look at the price of ETFs and whatnot, you can see here 25.20, right? They hold, that is for one share of the ETF. One share holds multiple XRP. So they're, 25.20 that means that each basket probably holds roughly 12 XRP. So every time you buy a share from the Bitwise XRP ETF, you're essentially buying the equivalent to that many XRP. Does that make sense? So that's why those prices are different. They all create different share sizes and baskets based on what they're trying to attract. Those prices are not indicative of what one single XRP is going to be. Hopefully that makes sense to you, Lisa. Janine, that's incredible. Roger, agreed. I am Sam says, I think I'm going to have to change my name to just Sam. I mean, I can learn. Excuse me. XRP-1000, delusional. Always love your positive intakes on my streams and videos, even though I agree with most of what you say half the time. Let's see here. Janine says, did you happen to play World of Warcraft? I did. I was very much into Call of Duty and World of Warcraft back in the early 2000s, 2010s. Crypto Roger says, before crypto, I stacked 3,000 plus ounces of silver bullion, stacked away more than crypto, sitting on both. I'm 100% disabled Iraq veteran. I get disability. Thank you for your service, Crypto Roger. I'm a disabled veteran as well. I'm a 60% disabled veteran and currently out on short-term disability right now because I had another brain hemorrhage and they won't let me work anymore. So I appreciate your service and I'm right there with you, Roger. Sam says a guy in the UK done that over $700 million. Janine says that's a sad story. It's a very sad story. I wish I had even a clue where that computer is, Janine. Lisa Cotton Candy says, gotcha, good, glad it helped. Crypto Rogers says, I stopped buying XRP at 48 cents, stacked 6 figures. I started originally stacking my XRP. I think I bought my first amount at 8 cents. I want to say the first bag of XRP I had before I had to liquidate everything. I want to say my average buy rate at that point was like, it was like right around like just under 30 cents, I think. And I had to liquidate that bag during my divorce, so I had to start over afterwards. So my new bag is not as good, unfortunately, as that old bag. Sorry if you've already, let's see here. Quelly79 says, sorry if you've already covered this, just tuning in. If and when Ripple becomes a bank, would that mean I could open a bank account with Ripple and use it to trade XRP for fiat? I mean, so it depends on what kind of bank they decide they want to do. There's all types of different types of bank. You have residential and you have commercial. So I'm assuming they're going to do a commercial bank and they'll probably open again, this is all speculation, but we do know they're trying to get a bank charter and a Fed master account. So all that being said, we do know that they are going to have some kind of institutional level. So now the question is, will they come out and do a commercial level after that? And I think we'll be a while before we get to that point. I think they're going to jump right in. Onto the institutional level stuff first, because that's what they built the rails out for. Everything is business to business for them. And once they get their foothold in that, I fully expect them to start branching out. But their path has been very, very clear to see that they are focusing on institutions right now. And once they have a secure foothold there, be good to go. Let's see here. Let's go to the landfill. Yeah, right, William? You need to file for TDIU, total unemployability. I don't qualify because I'm at 60%, Crypto Roger. I can't get there until I'm at 70%. Once I get to 70%, I do plan on filing for TDIU, but I'm still waiting on my... I put in... sorry, brain's messing with me. I put in my request to increase back in July when everything happened, so I'm waiting for them to approve that request, so then I can file for TDIU and up it to 100. But with how things are going on YouTube, come that time, I may not need TDIU. But I appreciate all the information. You're 100% correct, and I am very familiar with it, and I'm working on it. It's all a waiting game. Time is of the essence, though, when you start running out of money, though, right, crypto? Let's see here. Thank you for all you do, man. I really appreciate you. I will say it is wild. You're like the only one who I watched that was on a short when ETFs hit that moment. I said, yep, he is legit. Crazy good, man. I appreciate that, Morris. I appreciate all of you as always. William says he's got to go. Baby's crying. Have a nice day, William. Thank you. Crypto Roger says TDIU gets you to 100%. So I've gone through the whole chat now. We're going to come back and recap. But real quickly, I just want to say thank you to all of you. I appreciate it. It does mean a lot. And I have been working really hard to grow the channel over the last 2 months. And I'm glad you guys are receiving and appreciating the message. Every once in a while, there's a couple people, but I think they're missing my message and they're missing what I'm talking about and missing what I'm doing. And hopefully if I repeat myself enough times, it might shine through, right? But that moving on, I am going to go through and recap what we discussed. Please, any more questions, if you join late, let me know. And I'm going to scroll through here right now, but please active in the chat. That's how we keep the stream going. So I'm gonna cover this and I'm gonna hop back to the chat here in just a minute. But that being said, let's get into the flows. Let's see if we have any updates going on today. Let me refresh this. All right, so today's spot volume is at 14.28 million, 19.35 million in leverage. So we flipped yesterday, but again, it's still early in the day. You can see the decline in volume here after these massive raises, but we are selling off right now. And I'll flip back over to that here in a second. Everything's down today. Shocker. Whatever this Amplify, this Amplify spot ETF, I still need to look into this. It says it's a spot ETF, but it is down massively, 10.88%. The 2 times leverage, XRP, yeah. So they're definitely hurting right now. But we are having a pullback. We went up 10% yesterday. It's bound to happen. And let's see if we have any actual major stock market news on why things might be pulling back, if there's been any update. I checked NASDAQ retreats day 1 after big rally as NVIDIA drops live updates. So let's see here as NVIDIA drops. So again, this is indicative of the AI bubble potentially that we were talking about. So AI falls, the rest of the stock market falls with it. That's what's scary. And I actually don't have it here, and it's very important, but I was watching Meet Kevin yesterday, and I've told you guys I watch him for macroeconomic stuff. But he pointed out a very powerful thing that, yeah, the AI stocks are doing well, and the AI stocks are rising, and they are pumping the entire stock market. They're pumping the S&P 500. But if you look at the last 3 months, the debt that has gone into those AI stocks. So basically the entire pump in AI right now is completely debt backed. They're not actually making the money. So really, if they stop pumping the AI stocks full of debt, that the bottom's going to fall out of that. And that's why a lot of people are really, really scared of an AI bubble, because if an AI bubble goes, then the rest of the tech sector goes. And, that's the only thing propping up the stock market right now. It's scary times. But back to ETF inflows. That being said, we covered what Franklin Templeton did. They pulled off 2.45 million XRP one day. We went to Grayscale. They're currently holding 6 million XRP. Then we went to Canary Capital. They're currently holding 149 million XRP. Bitwise holding 67 million XRP. Rex Osprey holding 110 million XRP. These are what have effectively been removed from supply. We're not looking at volume. We're not looking at order. Order creations lead to this, but we're not looking at shares. We're not looking at volume. I'm not looking at price. I'm looking at what is coming off of supply. And that's what we can see. And when you start painting that picture, we still have 3 others, remember, that need to go live. 21 shares, Coin Shares, and Wisdom Tree. Okay? All approved, just waiting to go live. So when we have 8 spot XRP ETFs pulling 10 to 15 million XRP per business day, per trading day, off of the available supply, it's only a matter of time. My opinion, not financial advice. So that is everything. I also covered, actually, let me pull it back up for anyone who may be coming in late. We also covered that Morgan Stanley is saying that yen is expected to strengthen by 10% in the coming months as the US cuts rates in December. And remember, Japan is hiking in December. This is what we are talking about when it comes to a reverse carry trade. Okay. Dollar is weakening, yen is strengthening. People are going to rotate out of those bonds and into safer assets. And in order to do that, they're going to have to liquidate. And that might be why we're seeing some of this sell pressure in the market right now as well. Okay. I do think the reverse carry trade is a very real thing. Is it going to be as dramatic as some other people have made it out to be? I don't know. I personally don't think so. But we are seeing liquidity issues right now in the global markets. And I think it has a lot to do with it. So that being said, let me take a look here. Then add tinnitus. I already have tinnitus. That's already on there, Crypto Roger. But I would love to talk to you about it. We can chat about it sometime and go over. I love discussing with other veterans. Tell people to click the like button so your streams are recommended to others. That's how I found you. You know, I appreciate that, Lisa. I appreciate that. The best way to help spread the channel is to like the streams and also be active in the chat and share. You know, obviously you can share the video, but if you guys are getting value from these, I appreciate any support that you give. Honestly, it helps a lot. The channel is growing great, and I appreciate every single one of you for helping me do that. Morris says, hey brother, thank you so much. God bless. Yours and us. Stay faith. Prayer. Keep answering. Awesome work. Okay. I appreciate it, Morris. I appreciate that. Crypto Rogers, I just wish I could get past Tether and market cap. I hate that they can just print up another billion and one gets arrested. If I try to print money, I go away forever. Not fair. I do think there's some stuff going on with Tether too. I just haven't touched too much on to that, Crypto Roger, because I like to present numbers, facts, pictures, you know, things I can put on a screen say a heck of a lot more than my thoughts to a lot of people, especially on YouTube in such a hype, you know, market. Janine says, I'm with you, Morris. He's doing awesome. God bless. I appreciate you too, Janine. Regarding the ETFs, I hope I'm not right, but my gut tells me we will have to wait 1 year to see XRP prices where we want them. I have no idea when prices are going to get where we want them, but I did say I don't think we're going to see the massive pump until we get utility, until we get a bank charter, until we get Fed master account. I always thought that the ETFs would start removing XRP from supply and start slowly raising our floor steadily through time, right? That's what I thought that the XRP ETFs were going to be. They were going to provide liquidity for utility, which we are still waiting on. We need clarity and we need bank charters. Again, when they're talking about Bitcoin, again, and another reason that the market is falling today is because there is still a looming decision on January 15th on if they are going to reclassify treasuries that make, I think, over 50% of their profits from holdings and make them reclassify as funds. If they do that, Bitcoin's going to crash. Not financial advice, not, you know, Chicken Little, but if that happens, it's going to be bad for Bitcoin. Let's see here. We want to be active, but also don't want to drive you crazy with too many questions. You won't drive me crazy with too many questions, I promise. I'll just try to read down it. Because what I do is I will spot it every once in a while. But what I try to do is I try to focus in on the data that I've presented to you, and then I scroll through the questions, and then I'll come back to the data and then scroll through any other questions. But I appreciate your concern, but I want to be as active with you guys as I can. I love chatting with you all. Janine says, I was blowing up the chat yesterday. It looked insane. Hey, I appreciate you, Janine. We had a great conversation. It looked like me and you were just having a one-on-one stream for like the last 20 minutes there. But we covered a lot of good information, and we actually got to see, you know, how a day trade would play out in real time. We called it, you know. I actually went back and looked at it. If we had actually played that out exactly the way we talked about it, not financial advice, just for fun, but if we had actually played that out exactly the way we talked about it, that would have been a $4,000 winner. That's how you make money day trading, right? I think I just spit everywhere. I hope you guys didn't see that. It looked like Triple H, Do you have an opinion on Tom Lee's BMNR? I'm down like 40%. Okay. So that being said, Tom Lee is a salesman. I like what he's doing for the crypto community as far as bringing awareness and bringing in people. I do not like Ethereum, and I don't really trust Bitcoin. So it's not necessarily that I have any kind of feeling around Tom Lee per se, but I don't trust his stuff. Just he's a salesman. I mean, he's a lot like Jake Claver, honestly. I mean, you can look at what he does, but ultimately they're bringing awareness to the crypto community. But when people get burned, they get sad. But I know he's a massive, I know Tom Lee is a massive person in the crypto space. I personally don't trust it, and staying away from anything he has to do with has done well for me. That's all I'll say. My opinion, not financial advice. So sorry that you're down 40% on that, Quelly. That sucks. I mean, if it makes you guys feel any better, I already talked about throwing away over 100 Bitcoin today, and I also talked about having a massive bag of XRP that I had an average of 28 cents that I never sold while it was up, and had to liquidate it during the SEC case. So I believe me, I've made my mistakes too, and trust me, it sucks. Let's see. Janine says, I have moved money out of BTC and ETH. I'm considering moving out of Sol. I'm not going to give anyone advice on what they should buy. I can tell you what I focus on. I look at deflationary assets, gold, silver. I do hold Bitcoin because it's a deflationary asset and it has done well up to this point. XRP, deflationary asset, as well as some utility tokens that I like. Okay. And I'll get into all that later. Maybe I'll do a full breakdown of how exactly I'm playing this at some point, as opposed to just XRP. So far I've been focusing on how my system essentially works towards XRP. None of this is financial advice. But that's how I am building my wealth. So let's see here. Quelly says, if you don't like Bitcoin, would you also be wary of ABTC, American Bitcoin? Trump kids involved in that. Well, I would be leery of it, and I would say it this way, follow the rich white man. That's what Chris Tucker said during rush hour, and it's so true. Follow the money. The money will tell you where to go. That being said, just to give you some insight on the Trump kids, because you need to take everything with a grain of salt. Just to give you, a little bit insight with the Trump kids. What was their token? World Liberty Finance, or whatever their token was, right? That they launched. Dropped 30% an hour before the liquidation event on October 10th. They don't care about you. They will pump and dump faster they can bat an eye, and they've already proven it. So that being said, I wouldn't trust anything they're in either. Not financial advice, but that's just what I've seen. Crypto Roger, ERC20 coins like ETH are garbage. Coins requiring a second coin to fund transfer. That is crazy to me. I agree with you, Crypto Roger. However, I will say Ethereum seems to be Wall Street's baby, and there is a lot of building on Ethereum and a lot of projects on Ethereum. So because of that, I don't think it's necessarily going to go away. And then Solana, I don't trust, as it's not the most reliable to this point. But again, none of them have major partnerships. The only crypto, I try to focus on partnerships and utility. So Ethereum doesn't have any huge major partnerships other than the fact that it's Wall Street's baby and everyone likes to build on it. But that being said, there are more players in the pool. I do still think there will be 4 or 5 winners. There's going to be one that's, Web3 based like Ethereum. Who's the better one right now? Is it Web3 or Solana? I don't like either of them, to tell you the truth. But, we are going to have a Web3 winner. We are going to have a financial winner. We are going to have a person to person winner. Like they're going to have a winner in each sector. And really what it's going to come down to is ease of use, interoperability, partnerships, adoption. And that's all going to play out over the next 2 years. So really right now we're picking the horses that we think are going to win. Because I do think there's only going to be a handful that rise to the top and everything else will fall to the wayside. My opinion, not financial advice. Let's see here. Janine, I invest in ABTC and World Liberty Financial. Yeah. Hopefully they've done well for you. I am holding. Okay. I am holding. I'll tell you this. I won't tell you amounts. I am holding gold. I am holding silver. I am holding XRP. I am holding Bitcoin. I am holding Chainlink. I am holding HBAR. And I am holding Avalanche. That is all I am holding right now. Period. End of story. And then real estate. But let's see here. That is the entire chat. We've covered all the information. I'm going to check in again on XRP. See where it is as we speak, since we did have that terrible pullback. Janine, can you tell me how many people are in the chat, please? Let's see here. Where's our price? All right, let's pull up this here. So currently we are at 217, so we did not hold 220. Again, this is the 1 day chart for XRP. I'm going to move it to the 1 hour chart, which is typically what I like to follow here. See where we're at in the actual. So yeah, we're under EMA 9. We've fallen down as low as 215. So again, fell below 220. We want to flip 220 and hold it for support, but this does not look like as terrible as a drawback as it was originally looking at. We've already found some support. So if we can flip EMA 9 and hold on to it, if we can flip EMA 9 and hold on to it and reverse it, we can make this bullish again. But again, charts just for context, it's following Bitcoin. Really, the more important thing was the amount of XRP being removed from supply that we looked at on the exchanges. Or not on the exchanges, when we looked at on their actual direct websites showing individually each one pulling off millions and millions and millions of XRP per day. Let's see here. My phone rang. All right, so yeah, it looks like that's everything. I am through the chat. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. We're going on almost an hour here. I appreciate every single one of you. I stream every single morning at 8:30 a.m. Monday through Friday. I will not be streaming on Thursday, Thanksgiving. But that being said, I will be back Friday morning. I appreciate all of you. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the like button. I appreciate you all being so active in chat. And there's a lot more to come. I think this is just the beginning. I appreciate y'all. Later.